Hello, subscribers, citizens, taxpayers. A couple of weeks ago, I posted that I would upload dialogue from a commentary that I wanted to do regarding Black people versus Christianity. And I wanted to have the I wanted to have the commentary uploaded before the start of Black History Month in America, but we had a couple of things come up. I had to focus on those circumstances before I could upload the commentary. So actually, in addition to the extenuating circumstances, the original commentary I recorded, when I listened back to it, it really was the language in the commentary was really, I don't want to say divisive. None of it was incorrect from my point of view, but it was kind of, I just can't, I just didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable uploading the commentary for moral reasons. Although I am going to do a brief, a very condensed version of the actual commentary. So I originally planned on Black people versus Christianity to be in separate parts. Example given, part 1, part 2, part 3, and there still may be a part 2. Actually, one day there will be a part 2. But I'll just go ahead and do a very condensed version of the original audio, which will never see the light of day. It will never touch the internet ever. So I think we'll just go ahead with this. I do have notes. I have about 4 pages of notes for the original audio commentary, but I'm not gonna necessarily use the notes for this condensed version because, like I said, the original audio was it was very volatile, and it was just something I wasn't comfortable with. It was thoughts I was having at the time, which, not to say that those thoughts aren't legitimate or true or educational or beneficial to one, could open somebody's eyes up, but I just wasn't gonna upload it in good confidence. I just couldn't see myself uploading that original audio. So, part 1, Christianity versus Black people. We'll just get straight into it. I think it's important to know that when African American slaves, so I'm talking about my ancestors on the continent of North America, so when African American slaves were introduced to Christianity, they were not introduced to it in a pleasant manner, for lack of better words. It was weaponized against them in order to make them think that in order to make them think that their slave masters were um, were correct in the way that they went about exposing the slaves to Christianity. They only gave the slaves a condensed version of passages, which is still true in contemporary or modern times. Um, and so, with that being said, you have to go back and look at the history of it. With that being said, Christianity was a weapon against black people at one point, and now it's taken root in another way where it's not objectively weaponized, but it's rooted in its original form. And so there are unseen chains concerning Christianity and black people that help to they basically help to keep black people in a state of how should I say this? In a state of ensnarement or entrapment, because a lot of older black people cling so strongly to this institution created by man that it's hard for them to look over the wall and see outside of the institution. The main area of the institution I wanted to speak about is primarily tithing. I don't think tithing is wrong, but I think it's wrong for the tithes not to be poured back into the community. And again, it's subjective. This is a subjective point of view. This is my point of view. I just think the resources that the church has available to them on a weekly basis, or even on a monthly basis, even on an annual basis, could be redistributed in a much better manner. And I think that there is a lack of accounting going on, or it's a lack of transparency. There's a lack of transparency in regards to said resources. The only thing, I can't say the only thing because that's not true for all churches. For the most part, you can see the sanctuary built up and looking nice, neat, new. But the neighborhood around the sanctuary looks, it's a reflection. It's a reflection. The church should reflect the neighborhood. The neighborhood should be a reflection of the church. In my point of view, I don't think pastors should take a salary or should take a cut of tithes and offerings. There's nothing our money can do that God can't do. what can the creation give to the creator? And we've all seen numerous examples of these pastors being less than scrupulous with the funds, i.e., buying themselves houses, homes, personal property, personal houses, personal, a lot of a large percentage of pastors are using, and I say black pastors, are using the funds for personal benefit, personal gain. We don't have to get into name calling or any specifics. You know it, I know it. We see it every day. We also see the degeneration of a lot of these men that claim to be followers and teachers of God. Nobody's perfect. We all have sinned and fallen short of the grace and mercy of God. But if you step into that position, man, you need to be, you're held accountable. If you step into that, if you make a conscious decision, or even if you're chosen to be in that position, you're that much more accountable than the everyday average person. We all gonna face the same judgment anyway. We all getting out of here. We all leaving here and getting judged one day. But people in those leadership positions are that much more accountable. The same way we hold our nation's leaders and senators and governors, mayors, we hold them to a standard. We need to hold pastors and preachers to a standard as well. And there needs to be transparency. If it's a community wide thing, if it's community level, and it should be transparency. Godly, so many notes here, and I may pull from here at different times throughout the life of the channel, but I also want to take a moment and to speak on people who would forego doing a service for a person and instead opt to show some sort of obligation to an institution or sanctuary. That is in my opinion, that's the lowest form of intelligence. Because the church or the institution won't outright, get out in the street and help people outside of maybe, some canned food here, electric fan there. But, when people need help and you're able to help them and you're unwilling to help them but are able to, I guarantee you're being given a demerit for that, because it says it in the Bible. Take, for example, the rich man and Lazarus asking the man for a crumb off of his plate. and the rich man refusing Lazarus' request, uh, he got his due dessert in the afterlife. Take, for another example, the young rich man who asked Jesus, "What do I need to do to get into heaven?" And Jesus informed the man that he followed 4 of the 10 commandments that God gave to Moses. If he just followed 4 of the commandments, he saw, Jesus said that, that would be enough to get you into heaven. Told him that would be enough to get him into heaven. Let me rephrase it. And the man said, "But how do I become perfect?" Jesus told the man, "Sell everything you own, give the money to the poor, and come follow me." It's hard. It's going to be hard for wealthy people to enter into heaven. It's very hard for them to enter into heaven because they think so much of their possessions on earth. The young man ran away from God. He could not imagine leaving everything he had acquired, selling it, and giving the proceeds to poor people. The man departed from Jesus in the quickest way possible. And so, in saying those things, it's about 16 minutes now. I don't want to go too much longer. With those thoughts in mind, there needs to you have to be honest. Christianity was weaponized in its inception towards black people or towards slaves in Northern America. It was weaponized. It was not for your benefit. As we became educated in the English language and learned to read and to speak the language, we can begin to gather some substance from the text. But this religion was weaponized against us in its inception, or in its introduction, let me say, to ourselves and our ancestors. It was a weapon. There's nothing, putting money inside of a church does not, in my opinion, does not, it's not greater than helping people outright if you're able to. Whether they use the help in the way you see fit or not, it's not your place to make that decision for them. That is a decision they have to make on their own. But in you having the charitable heart to give to them, because if you think about it, what is the church doing with it? So they're not using it the way you maybe think are they supposed to just save it, just hold on to it and make eyes at the bank account numbers? Or, if you're putting it into the sanctuary, it's going to be destroyed one day. So it's not going to last forever. So better to get on the ground and help people, in my opinion. So anyway, and I think that black people could have 10% more economic power if we stop the tithing. But like I said, I'm getting into the original audio now. I don't think you should stop tithing. Now that I've done some reflection, I don't think tithing should be abolished. I just think it's not being poured in. If you go study the biblical text on tithing, go look up its original purpose, and you'll see what God's intentions for tithes were. So without razzling any more brains or hurting any more feelings, I think we will cut this short because I am gonna get into this month. I'm gonna get into some of what our new president is doing. I'm gonna do some preliminary research, and I'm gonna draft, some more notes, or come up with some more talking points, because I think a lot of people are worried about things that they have no control over, for one, and that I think it's gonna require us to just band together as a people. We're just gonna have to come together. Individualism got us where we are now, and it's to our detriment. So we'll cut this off right here. Black People versus Christianity, Part 1. We will cut this here. Prepare for political commentary to come. I may do it next year, but also be on the lookout for black leaders, real black leaders, and what happens, what their ultimate demise is when they have a true message. Be on the lookout for be on the lookout for political commentary to come. A message concerning black leadership, Black People versus Christianity, Part 2, and these airplanes. That's some strange stuff going on. 3 incidents within the span of 6 days. Not even 6 days. 3 aviation incidents. I mean, is that even possible? Like, I don't know. Is there foul play at hand? I don't know. I will just bring some talking points. I'll let you all decide, or we can decide collectively. And we'll go ahead and cut it off. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for subscribing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for taking the time out to listen. It won't be televised. So bear witness and behold.